Hello, this is Jason Cooper. You're listening to the Holy Air Podcast.
Is the Holy Hour, the All Cure bi-weekly podcast. Thanks for joining us for another wonderful episode. I'm Gavin. I will be guiding you through this experience. I hope you're all doing well. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a weird one to come in on, but who cares? Pull up a seat and join us. We are happy to have you here. And we recently did a profile episode for Simon Gallup for his birthday, and I figured, let's keep the ball rolling. I'm about to go out of town. The other guys aren't here. I want to talk. I just want to ramble and do a little Cure talking. So why not? Best way to do that is to honor drummer extraordinaire Jason Cooper of The Cure and try to just get as much background and fun talking about Jason and his drumming as we can. So what do you say? Does it sound good? Yeah? Jason is a bit of a unusual member of The Cure when it comes up in conversation, but because for some reason I think he's the last of that residue from the old era that was a new change still. Wild Mood Swings has always been a controversial moment in Cure history, so he kind of unfairly gets lumped in with all of that, you know. Still one of my funniest Jason memories is when we went to go see The Cure in 2016 and Donald was casually talking to Arusha and totally 100% serious called Jason the new guy, you know, in 2016. So I think for a lot of Cure fans in there, it's hard to get that out of your head, is the fact that he was the guy, the new guy joining the band. You know, I think Reeves has deflected a lot of that, but at the same time too, Jason has always been kind of the dude that had to take the main hit of that idea and the transition from The Cure from that era into present day. So yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about and walk through his story. Like Simon, we don't have a ton of background or personal information or anything like that. These guys are all very private people, and I think that's part of the charm and why we love them so much, is because they're not all out there in the tabloids talking endless shit and making fools of themselves. They do what they gotta do. They deliver some amazing music and play amazing live shows, and then they peace out and have their own real life aside from all this Cure nonsense. So so you got to respect that, but it makes it tough when you try to string together all these background information. But there's so much to praise about Jason, and I think no matter where anybody feels on The Cure in the later years, or Jason's drumming versus Boris's drumming versus Lowell's drumming, blah, 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 as we'll get into all that, I think there's no denying that he is an extremely talented fella, and is just blows everybody's minds on the technical aspect of what he can do behind a drum set. And even more importantly, on top of that, of just what a really cool and down-to-earth and awesome human he seems to be, based on his charity work, based on the comments he said, and based on his position in The Cure, how he's holds it down back there, and just seems like a really good guy. And his communication with fans, the little stories that we have heard of people running into him before or after shows or at side gigs or anything, he seems like he's always a total class act and a really cool dude. So let's start at the top. What do you think? You ready? Cool. So Jason Cooper was born on January 31st, 1967. That's why we always kind of miss trying to get his profile episode out on his birthday, because it's at the end of January when we're just trying to get things rolling for the year again. And I always have this like on the burner, but then I'm like, I missed the boat. Let's save it for another time. But yeah, not too much that we know about his childhood. Born in London, so just born and raised in London. I'm not sure where he's residing these days as far as that goes. Early influences. Around ages 7 or 8, he cited at one point Jimi Hendrix, which makes it a good fit with Robert. Mitch Mitchell, Ainsley Dunbar, who played with Bowie and Journey and Zappa and Jeff Beck. So yeah, a pretty wide range of drummer influences there for sure. He studied drums as part of London's BIMM, the British and Irish Modern Music Institute. And there's a group of 8 independent colleges with over 6,700 students that specialize in the provision of BIMM education in Brighton, Bristol, Dublin, Birmingham, Manchester, Berlin, Hamburg, and London. So, wow. So yeah, no real confirmation on which of those cities he studied it in. I'm assuming London, but pretty cool institute to be a part of. As far as early bands, I'm sure there was quite a few, but the only one that ever really gets any real mention is My Life Story. And they're credited as being a Brit pop band in the early 90s. I wasn't familiar with them, even though I love a lot of Brit pop stuff until digging into his past here. But they do have lots of clips on YouTube and such, mostly stuff after him, since I think he was in the early days of their formation. But apparently there is a clip of Jason playing or performing drums with My Life Story on Top of the Pops. So they had a song that got him on the Top of the Pops. So cool tie over with our last episode, but I don't have the clip. I couldn't find it anywhere. So if anybody has it or has a link to it or was able to track it down, definitely send it our way, because it would be cool to just see him even miming to drums on the Top of the Pops there. So pretty cool. But then, we don't really have much until he enters the Cure universe, if you will. And so how does all this come to be? A huge part of his story is just this awesome induction into the Cure, really. It is quite a story of how he got in there. So anyone not familiar, we'll run through that. But our dearly beloved Boris, that is so close to everybody's heart with the Cure. He was, came in at right at the right moment there for the Cure to really catapult into this super golden era, coming in at the end of the Top Tour and going all the way to Wish. And then a little after, even, with Burn being the last Boris song officially, and he decides to depart from the band in 1994, right around when the initial plans are starting to form for Wild Mood Swings, what would become Wild Mood Swings. So the plan is, pretty much from the get-go, it sounded like that they were going to use session drummers for the whole recording of the new album. So they place an ad in Melody Maker that said, "Very famous band requires drummer, no metalheads." And sure enough, they got tons of responses. And they would also, it sounded like from that DEK article, use the audition time and these session drummers. They were recording everything constantly, so they were kind of like feeling out these different drummers. I'm sure there was a few that they just play with first, then get them in on different songs, and try to match it up with their style, with the type of song, and kind of use them audition while recording Wild Mood Swings. So it's kind of an interesting way to do it. And apparently, a mega jam at the end if they make it that far. But a very strange. So it ended up, Wild Mood Swings ended up with other drummers on the album: Mark Price, Ronald Austin, and Louis Pavlou. All are actually made it onto Wild Mood Swings for I think it's about 3, 4, 5 songs or so that Jason didn't play on. I don't know if there were versions that Jason played and they just liked theirs better or what, or if they just kind of rolled with theirs because they got them in there earlier or they had those specific songs. Who knows? But they made it on the record. Ultimately, though, it was a young, inexperienced, younger bloke that would win the hearts of everybody in the Cure at the moment, and went out in the end. And he was chosen not only for his exceptional drumming, but he got along really well with everybody in the band and the crew. And they seemed like he would be the best fit personality-wise. So this young Jason Cooper fella and all his enthusiasm stood out to Robert. And he was only 27 at the time. So he's beating out all these like super experienced drummers, just really shining and clicking with everybody. And, you know, that's key. So pretty cool that it was a young guy. How old were Robert and all around this time? Let's see. He's turning 40 for Blood Flowers. So it'd be about, he's about like 37 then maybe. So, maybe, you know, about 10 years older. So not absurd, but good enough age gap at this point. And what a job to jump right into though, right? So Jason also had another advantage over the other drummers, it turned out. He's a huge Cure fan already. So although I believe he kept that fairly hidden. I believe I read that also in the DEK or somewhere, one of those Wild Mood Swings reviews where they said that, you know, he didn't really want them to know that he was a pretty diehard Cure fan going into it, you know. That way maybe they would put more expectation on his playing if he really, you know, he's like, oh, I don't know any of these songs, and then he'd play it, you know. But Jason was quite familiar with their back catalog. In fact, his dad, who worked for Virgin Records, had even given him a copy of 17 Seconds when he was only 12, and he loved it and listened to it constantly. That even like bled into Faith and Pornography, so he knew all the classic albums going into this audition/recording. And he had even gone to see him play a bunch of times, one of which was at Glastonbury. So he was just in the crowd watching the Cure. So that's pretty fun to imagine. So he was offered the job and accepted the job on his 28th birthday, they say. So that's pretty cool. Best birthday present you could pretty much ask for, I think, being officially accepted into the Cure. And he would become their touring drummer because they would do some touring before Wild Mood Swings was even released. And by the time that album came out, he was officially in enough to get the full band member credit inside Wild Mood Swings, while the other guys that had recordings that made it onto the record were also like additional musicians a little bit lower on the list. So for that record, you know, he would play 9 out of the 14 tracks on it. So a pretty good chunk of all of them. And I'm sure he played, you know, most of the B-sides too, probably. So. And of course, he's been their drummer ever since. You know, no sign of any hiccups or any moments during these long pauses in between projects with the Cure that he was like, all right, fuck this, I gotta do something else, or anything like that. So it seems like he's very loyal, very devoted to the band, and what all you could ask for, really. He's been with them 26 years now, since 95. And if you add up all the years that Lowell was the drummer, the years Andy was the drummer, and Boris, if you add all them together and then double it, you're almost the same amount of years. You're just about like 2 years shy, I think, of being double all their total years. So that's a nice little weird math problem there for you guys. But just to put it in perspective how long he's been the Cure's drummer at this point compared to Boris and Lowell in particular, it's pretty mind-blowing. Of course, that is all said with the idea that the Cure's pace for putting out new albums in particular has definitely slowed down a lot since about right when Jason starts joining the band. So, pretty drastic slowdown, mostly from about 2000 on. Only 4 actual albums that Jason plays on for all those years. 26 years with the Cure, 4 albums. Hopefully that 26, he'll be able to add a new one by the end of this year to it. But 4 albums. Whew. Wild Mood Swings, Blood Flowers, Self-Titled, and 413 Dream. However, no shortage of live albums to his credit. 5 Swing Live EP from the Wild Mood Swings tour. The Greatest Hits acoustic live album that went with the Greatest Hits. Trilogy DVD, the Festival DVD, the Bestival CD in 2011, and 40 Curation 25 plus Anniversary in 2018. That whole box set of the Anniversary and Curation shows. And, just an impressive, consistent run of live shows with all the Cure's touring, which has been the bulk of what the Cure has. All the Cure really has since 2008's 413 Dreams. So, no hiccups there, inconsistencies. He's the solid rock back there with the touring. And in fact, that's kind of where Jason really shines, I think, is his role in the Cure in these later years, as they're not cranking out new albums by any means, is live and holding down the fort with the live shows and making them all these incredible, great live performances that we've been talking about endlessly here and elsewhere. And kind of why they win these live awards, the NME award, a couple years back now for playing that run of festival shows and everything, and everyone's just constantly impressed by how they wouldn't be able to play these 3-hour shows with some shitty old drummer back there that could barely stay alive, So I think there's a lot of drummers, impressive drummers, that couldn't hang in there for these long ass Cure shows that they're playing. So I think he's very key in being able for them to shine the way they do with these later years live. So his first gig was June 6, 1995. Greece Rockin' Athens Festival, and this would be before Wild Mood Swings even came out, and they debuted Want and Jupiter Crash and Mint Car, all at that live show, and that was his first one. His third gig would be another Glastonbury Festival, so this is a reoccurring thing. I think Perry's was like his second or third one was Glastonbury, so they really throw him into the fire on new members here with the Cure, so it's pretty awesome. And really, ever since he joined, his ability to cover the full back catalog has totally blown my mind. Well, there's no denying Boris's style and energy. Jason has really proved that he can hold down anything from their past. I personally never felt like he was like that icky feeling of when a new member joins and steps into a band anyway and changes up old favorite songs. So it's a huge credit to him and Reeves too, actually, for the huge volume of songs that they had to learn and, be respectful of. They're always so respectful and keep it true to the original feel. Makes total sense that even if they did step in and take some like simple ass drum beat from Lowell in the early days and spice it up a bit, you would almost just have to accept that. But for the most part, he doesn't. I mean, obviously there's slight variations here and there on the beats and such, but for the most part, it's always just shit that only another drummer would ever notice or care about. So I don't know. I think it's great that he can play all of those, and I've never been like, "Ugh, what is he doing to that beat?" Funking it up or drastically changing it one way or the other. Even today, if a song sounds a bit more subdued or flat when they're playing it live, comparing it to shit from like 30 years ago, I still doesn't even really feel like it's Jason's doing or that you could blame him in any way. People have gripes about the click track usage in later years, and I kind of get that. It does like make a song sound a bit safe sometimes, or like bowling with the bumpers up or something, but that's not all like Jason's call anyway. It's got to be Robert who prefers to play it that way. He wouldn't just say, "Go to play it to a click track, guys," and they'd be like, "All right." So it's not even his decision anyway. And as far as skill level, I mean, that's got to be harder to do anyway, right? Imagine consistently playing to a perfect tempo to a drum click for 2.5 or 3 hour long show. Jeez, your head would explode, you would think. But it makes more sense. You just speed them up, slow them down, rock them out would be an easier way to battle through a 3-hour set. But no, Mr. Robot Man definitely never lets up. So more credit to him in that regard, I think. And along those lines, and unfortunately, when you come to like a classic band like The Cure, and he joins them 15 years into their career, you're going to get the endless comparisons to the previous drummers, and it's going to be impossible to win everyone over because the majority of humans just can't fucking handle change anyway, it seems like. So, that's got to be tough. When asked about this, he even had a quote saying he doesn't dwell on it, just had to do the best of your ability and pay respects to the beat that was given to you. Play it with conviction. There's always going to be people that prefer the past, but you can't let it get to you. So how awesome is that? And exactly what we're saying, it's just like you got this amazing song from their back catalog that he also loves. He's not going to fuck it up. All you got to do is just pay your respects to it and play it the best you can. So actually, Chris White of CureNews.com in the episode way back when Arusha talked to him and Janie, talked about the early days when Jason joined the band and mentioned how curious Jason was when he joined the band about getting to know Cure fans and to know what he was getting into as far as their level of devotion. And the fact that he was even curious about the fans shows that he cares about their legacy as the band and the task that he was taking on. And also he's just very diplomatic. It seems like when he talks about Boris and Andy and Lowell's drumming and what great drummers they were with unique styles, and also how influenced they all are on Robert's direction and songwriting style. So that's pretty cool. Just, knowing that he's part of the team there and not like my era versus your era or some petty bullshit like that, so. And as far as him playing on albums, like we said, it is a bit unfortunate that he, has the last 4 albums are the ones that he got to play on. But it's just kind of a more bad luck that he joined then. The last 4 albums are not at the top of most Cure fans' list, even if you have love for them, which we all do. But, they're still probably not topping a lot of those albums from years earlier. So, but I don't think anyone would say that the drumming has any real part of why some of those albums aren't their best. Sometimes I feel like the drum mixing might be questionable at times, like preference-wise for me. As far as the actual playing goes, though, he crushes it. It's more of the songs that just aren't as catchy and or emotional when compared to the golden era or any of those eras and stuff like that. So, it's really just in comparison to itself. And if anything, on the self-titled album, in particular, the drums are the best part. I think he's rocking his ass off on so many of those songs that don't really do anything for me, but I still really enjoy just listening to him, and the drum parts are kind of the parts that stand out the most, I think. There's even a handful of the ones on 413 that are like that too, like It's Over. Just the coolest part of that song. And I do love some of his more wishy-washy ones. I know Donald had cited that years ago as not his favorite stuff or aspect of the later Cure, amongst other things. But I really love that style and how it complements Robert's songwriting for songs like Jupiter Crash and Out of This World. When he can kind of do that more dreamy, almost acoustic-y feel and pull it off a lot better. But at the same time, he's doing like those rock ass songs like Self-Titled and even the songs just like Underneath the Stars and Blood Flowers and Last Day of Summer, the true highlights of the last 4 Cure albums. I feel like he can totally play all those with just as much emotional depth as any Cure drummer has ever played any Cure song, and it totally sizes up. So I think it is just a matter of how great is the song, and he can cover it. So any distaste for the later albums, I don't think reflects any way on Jason. And whether it be live or on a recording, just watching Jason play is quite amazing in itself. And there are very few drummers where you can just really sit there and watch them, and it's total entertainment in itself. There's a couple of good examples of ways you can do that, nerding out without watching just a full live Cure show. Even there's an Academy of Contemporary Music, and they have a masterclass video, and you can watch a snippet of him talking and playing End of the World. It's on YouTube. I'll try to link it to it on our Facebook page. I think you have to subscribe to something to see the full masterclass, like lesson, basically, he's teaching. I haven't been able to track down the full thing, but you can see a little snippet of it. But stuff like that, it's just really cool to see him in a kind of sterile, more educational process, as opposed to just rocking out in front of, whatever, for the anniversary concert and such. A better example of that is in 2021 when he did the Drumathon, that I think you can still watch the whole thing, but what he did was a replaying of the Cure's legendary 4-hour show from Mexico City in 2013, and he's playing along to a drumless mix from the concert, and the cameras are just all on him, and it was really cool. Just, I was surprised. I was like, that's cool. I'll watch it for a second, but I ended up just like watching the whole damn thing, just watching him drum the whole thing, and never missing a beat, never slowing down, never even making funny, like, oh my God, I'm going to die faces through the whole thing. He's just totally in the zone and nailing it. So very impressive and very cool to watch. He did it in 2022 as well, just recently. I feel like they did it, but I didn't see a link for it or any kind of replay. So I missed that one. I'm not really sure what the theme was either. So if anybody has more details on that, share with us and let us know what it was and if it was really cool. I'm sure it was cool, but what was it? One of the cool things when we do the profiles is kind of seeing like what else they work on outside of the Cure. And, we know Roger's got like the cool solo albums and stuff, and it was fun digging up the few scattered Simon things that he's done throughout the years outside of the Cure. But Jason actually has a fairly good chunk of stuff. Not a lot of it I was able to track down really or hear or watch, but there is some stuff here, and here's a small note if you want to go out there hunting for it. Marina and the Diamonds. I actually did find this album. It's on iTunes and such, called Fruit from 2015, and he played drums on pretty much the whole record.
Those who wait, but I ain't in a patient phase. It's summertime and I hang on the fire. They're gonna meet me in a sweet red wire, hanging around like a fruit on a tree, waiting to be picked. Come and cut me free. Come and fill your cup up, looking for some good luck. Good luck to you.
Hard to say. It wasn't really the kind of stuff I was totally digging, but it was cool and definitely had impressive drums to it. Just kind of indie female vocals on stuff, but a little poppier maybe. It's hard to describe. I don't want to just like blindly say genre words over it, but check it out. Marina and the Diamonds. I'll put a list of all these on the Facebook page too, so you can try to track them down. Dry River, composed and played a soundtrack for this. It's a film, and it was completed. It's the synopsis is a 1885, a drifter returns to an abandoned village in the Wild West where a fight for survival erupts over a dwindling water supply. So that sounds pretty cool. Dry River, composed and played the soundtrack. Jason Cooper. Without Gorky is a documentary from 2011. The abstract expressionist painter Arshile Gorky, and it's all about Gorky. So check that one out. Spider Hole did the musical score for that in 2009. Jason also composes music for film, as we just said, most notably co-creating the score for the horror/thriller From Within. from which he and co-composer Oliver Krauss, who I believe had a connection to his old My Life Story band, worked with them. So co-composer for that, and won the award of Best Original Score at the 2008 Solstice Film Festival. So winning awards for film composing. So that's pretty rad. And is credited on IMDb as a vocal arranger too for this one. Fighting with My Family, a movie directed by Stephen Merchant from the UK office. It has The Rock in it. And I thought this was like 3 different things that I almost ended up watching, but then I did not see this officially. But The Rock's in it. It's a comedy/drama about a former wrestler, hence The Rock, and his family, and they make a living performing at small venues around the country while his kids dream of joining World Wrestling Entertainment. And this one's cool because it's he worked with Graham Coxon from Blur on this one and did the score. So huge fan of Graham, the guitarist from Blur, and working with Jason. So that's probably pretty rad. And, pretty cool that connection that Jason has with Graham and, Robert working with Damon in Gorillaz. So cool. Big Blur fan. So I like to hear that. Let's see what else we got for him. Played on Steven Wilson's record, The Future Bites. And that's on iTunes. Says it's 2021, but no sign of it last I checked. I didn't do an updated search before recording this. Sorry. But it might be on there. Steven Wilson, The Future Bites. He's a British multi-instrumentalist. And I feel like I did track down other Steven Wilson stuff at one point. But I'm not super familiar. Sorry. So didn't really do my homework again on trying to do an updated search through all these, but they're out there. Yeah, if you want to dig around, go for it too. Just recently, 2022, Jason Cooper has been doing some jazz gigs, and that's kind of cool. He plays, let's see, I just snatched the whole thing. Arusha was doing a good job trying to get it out there, but they seem pretty sudden. Like they're just doing kind of surprise gigs where he wasn't really promoting it. They weren't really throwing it out there. Drummer from The Cure is coming down to play jazz with us. So it sounded like maybe something he's just doing on the fun side there and just wanting it to be kind of a surprise, low announcement kind of thing. But he played with jazz group Trio Manouche. So I guess I'm pronouncing that right. Trio Manouche. Manouche. Jazz at George 4. So UK's leading gypsy swing band performing with Italian vocalist Francesca Confortini and special guest Jason Cooper and Dave Kilby. Why am I so horrible at pronouncing last names? I don't know. It must have been from my old substitute teaching days. I have to mispronounce names. So yeah, that was March 10th. So back in March, and I think another one happened just recently actually too. So that's pretty cool. Gypsy swing jazz, further proven what an amazing drummer that Jason is. That's so diverse and versatile. So. Aside from all that, we don't have too many inside personal life scoop or anything. It's on Wikipedia that he married his longtime girlfriend, Allison, May 15th, 2004. And I know they have some kids, maybe just 2. I don't even know how many really. Not even sure how old, but it's good to know that there are little Jasons running around out there for the future. He's into cycling. We know that's for sure now too. In most current news, here in June 2022, participated in the Ride for British Heart Foundation. The ride, he did like a triathlon thing too. I didn't have notes of that. Maybe about a year ago. It almost seemed like the same thing for the Heart Foundation where he was swimming, right? I remember seeing pictures of him swimming. So this one, though, was a cycling thing. And like Simon, he's into cycling from London to Brighton. We'll start on London's Clapham Common, June 19th. And 54 miles later, we'll finish on Brighton seafront. You'll be riding in memory of the Cure's much-loved former drum tech, Paul Ricky Welton, who passed away from a heart attack during the 2019 festival tour. Quote from Jason was, "We shared a lot of moments. He was just wonderful to have on stage, and I could always depend on him. Ricky is dearly missed." And the BHF hopes to raise £2.8 million for the event, which will see 14,000 riders taking part. Whoa. They spend millions of pounds to fund life-saving research, and it's such a worthy cause, Cooper told BBC 5. And so further going back to that point of what an amazing guy he is, and talented. That's Jason Cooper for you there, and we really don't have too much more on top of that. He's a husband, a father, longest reigning drummer of the Cure, member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, film composer, award-winning film composer, cyclist, all-around wonderful human being. So we salute you, Jason Cooper, and look forward to seeing you drumming all our favorite tunes this fall. And hope we did you justice by reading through some of your stats here, and bound to have missed some highlights and a lot of little tidbits. So anyone out there, definitely feel free to chime in on our Facebook page or wherever you want to help word get out and add to all the praise for Jason. As I think all Cure fans say, like I said, you can't deny this guy's amazing talent and drumming skills for the Cure. It doesn't really matter that you love the old stuff more than the new stuff, or you like whatever more than this. The fact that he's an amazing drummer that can represent all eras of the Cure live is, clearly worth his weight in gold. And you know what? This is why Jason Cooper is currently my number one favorite Cure member in the band, is because when he was doing that talk for BBC 5, talking about the charity work and the biking, the cycling he was going to do, the interviewer just very casually at the end asked him, "So when's the new album coming out?" Without missing a beat, because Jason never fucking misses a beat, right? He just casually says, "Oh, it's going to be out in October," without a hesitation. And they move on and say, "Oh, great. So new album October, and the tour starts in October. Yep, cool. All right, take it easy." And for wherever the fuck truth is behind any of it, I love him. That was so great. It was so easy. I think I made a quick post on Instagram about it, but it's like, was that so hard? Even if it's wrong, I'll take it. It's so much better than, well, it's sort of done. I mean, it's practically done. It, most likely by the end of the year, but things happen. Starting to fizzle out a bit on some. Love you to death, Robert, but it was so nice just to hear Jason say, "Oh yeah, October, totally." We already knew it, in a sense, Robert said it, but it was just really nice, and we love you for it, Jason. So thank you, and thank you for all your musical skills and all the joy that you've brought our ears and souls by playing with the Cure and landing that gig back in 1995. So we'll wrap up the Jason talk there. And start phasing out. As we do wrap up this episode, I want to thank you guys for listening and bearing with me here solo. I know it's always a little more babbly when I'm here by myself, so thank you, and we'll have the other dudes in here before too long again, and more special guests and everything, of course. But while we are talking in general about the show too, it is June, the time of recording this. I think this will come out first week of July, so we're kind of at that halfway in the year mark, and just did want to throw it out to you guys as like a State of the Union kind of address that hope you're enjoying everything with the show as we're going on, 5 years of this now. Feel free to always drop me a line at gavinconnor@gmail.com or on any of the social media outlets. I check all those, so I'll get to you eventually. But drop me a line if you if there's something about the show that you love or don't love, something that you want us to do more of or less of, or just ideas for episodes. We're kind of in this little dry spell here before October and the fall starts kicking in. We're going to have plenty to fucking talk about by October, especially if we get that new album and the tour all at once. It's going to be like, I'll be putting out two episodes a week probably at that point. But, this is kind of the fun era where we don't have to really dwell on any anniversaries at this point. We've covered that. And so, yeah, if it's something we haven't talked about topic-wise, goofy topic-wise, if there's something you want to hear us hash out in any form, definitely drop me an email. I love you guys' ideas. And, it's not easy to come up with something that we haven't totally touched on in the past. And if nothing else, I'll at least just add it to that list and let it stew for a while. That's how a lot of these happen, where I'll say, at first I'm like, it's cool, not sure we could quite pull that off, but then I'll write it down and somebody else will suggest something and it kind of merges and takes form into a different topic idea, and that's always fun. And then I feel like you guys are collaborating with me too more, and that's always fun. So hit me up with any ideas you got, anything that we used to do that we don't do anymore that you want back, anything that we never did that you want back. I got fairly thick skin, but don't be a dick and go on and on about it, but just let me know if something's bothering you. So yeah, I think it's good. And we got plenty on the horizon, though. I do have my book ideas, so fear not. Lots of good stuff coming up. And on top of that, what do we got? Patreon. How about our Patreon crew? Don't have Henson here with me since I'm recording this one in the late night hours. So on his behalf, I would love to praise the Patreon for you. If you are interested in helping out the show, it really does help out a lot. If you could check it out and see if you want to be part of the Patreon. We got some fun stuff going on over there, bonus content. So go to patreon.com/theholyhourpodcast and see what the hell is going on over there. And no obligation, just check it out. And you can be part of the family, like our truly devoted crew, including Donna, Craig, Jeff Hilton, Jeff Cortland Jones, Suzanne, Ben, John, Allison, Alan, Dione, Namicio, and Danny. And of course, one of the perks of being part of the Patreon is that you can do shout outs or ad spots for anything you want to promote or at least just bring to our attention, such as Scott Kruger of the Sarlacc Digest. In fact, I'm trying to wrap up recording this so I can go on over and check out his episode on YouTube, 8 p.m. Pacific time. He and his ragtag crew of rebels can be found there every week. It's an all Star Wars podcast where they not only talk about all the ins and outs of what's currently going on in the Star Wars galaxy, but all the things that might even happen eventually in the Star Wars galaxy. They keep you really up to date on all the latest video games, books, and toys, all that stuff. So nerding out with these guys is going to quickly become a highlight of your week like it has for me. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube. And if you don't want to catch the live show or can't, replays can be caught everywhere that you listen to podcasts, like regular old podcasts. Kate over at CureThreads.com has a stunning website where you can quench all your Cure shopping desires. T-shirts, to coffee mugs, to flip-flops. She's got amazing original Cure-inspired art on all this stuff. So you can also check out her newest book, Secret Life of the Otter, where she did all the wonderful illustrations for. It's not on CaretThreads.com at the moment, but check over at Amazon. You can punch in Secret Life of the Otter and order it there. It's adorable. Lisa says check out DickensYYC.com. It's the website for a totally rad venue up in Calgary that hosts a wide range of live shows and events. At the end of this month is a special 4-night event called Terminus Monolith. That's epic as fuck, isn't it? Terminus Monolith. Actors are actually playing one of the nights there. So on the 28th, you can see them up in Calgary at Dickens. And all the other nights are jam-packed with tons of cool bands, too. I'm not sure of a lot of them, but that's just because I'm old and out of touch. But you'll probably recognize the names. Kite, IMX, Contravoid, tons of them. Go check them out. The full list is at DickensYYC.com. And also keep an eye on their live streams on Twitch at DickensYYC. And if you're not going to see a show in Canada, then you should consider donating blood instead. because everybody that is going to that show is going to be partying so hard, they're going to need a refill. And that's probably not what Matt had in mind when he wanted me to recommend downloading the Red Cross Blood Donor app, but you should still do it. It's easy, and it's a perfect way to schedule an appointment and donate your blood. If you can't do it for the common people, then do it for the goth kids, okay? So, and of course, our man Chaz, he runs 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com, and that's where you can go to pre-order all the coolest Cure shirts in town. You can follow his Instagram at 17_seconds to check out all of what's coming up on his website there. And if you haven't caught on to this yet, now's the time. Don't miss out. Usually when they're gone, they're gone. So you got to catch that pre-order. And you know what? He's just a super awesome dude, and that always helps when the person is a genuine, awesome Cure fan, right? So makes wearing that Cure shirt so much better. So go check it out at 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com. And you know what? We're a little shy on this one. It's a little short maybe, but hey, we go a lot long a lot of times. So cut me some slack. And we'll be back in 2 weeks for more Cure talk. And special salute to Jason Cooper. Go put on any live album from Jason's era, any of the last 4 recordings, and let yourself be blown away by his amazing drum skills. Thanks so much for listening, and take care out there. Talk hard.